Hello, welcome to my sewing room. My name is Carole. This is my channel, Sew Carole. Today is hashtag Friday Sews, so that means a weekly roundup of everything that's been going on in the sewing room. This week, I want to talk to you about the Ethel top from Style Arc that I made. And I'm very happy with the finished results. But oh my word, was it a roller coaster of a journey. But of course, first what I've got to do, and I've been pulled out actually for not mentioning a couple of times recently in my videos, what I'm wearing. I am wearing the most ancient of dresses that I made a long time ago, pre-cover stitch machine, pre-overlocker. But I was talking to someone the other day and I said, nobody ever comments on anything I make. When I go out and about, nobody ever says anything. But they did today wearing this dress, and I can't believe it because it's ancient. It was a dress I made so quickly one day because I wanted just a throw-on jersey dress. It was really hot, like it is today in the UK, and it was Burda 6540. The most simple pattern you could ever imagine, but it's got quite a nice shape. I did actually show this. This featured is one of my top patterns. So I think I did last year or the year before, like top new look, top, big fall patterns, but I also did best of the rest, and this featured in there. So I'll put a link to that video, then you can see the other one I've got. But this time around, I'll just show you quickly. What I did this time was just make a tie to bring it in at the back. And actually, I think that's what made it a bit better. This fabric I was never sure on. It's a viscose jersey, but I can't believe it. I got a comment, so I thought, right, I have to wear that in the video today. So I am going to give you a review on the Ethel top, but first I wanted to say what I said I was going to sew this week, I did actually sew. I needed to make 2 new cushion covers for the lounge, for the sofas. I really didn't want to do this. You know when you've got a sewing job to do and you really hate every moment of it. I kind of did with these. I had lots of bits of scraps of fabric. A lot of them were curtain samples. And I couldn't choose what to use. And then I had this one bit of fabric, so I went with that in the end. But I've done it, and it didn't take very long, as these jobs never do. 1 cushion, 2 cushion. So it was kind of this tweedy fabric, same front and back. I did a zip, and then I kind of played around with putting a sort of flap over at the end. I as always, I can't remember how to do things, so I just kind of battled my way. So the zip obviously would be at the bottom, but it does have a kind of flap that goes over the top. Now, I only had enough to do 3 cushions. 3 sides of the cushions, so one of them had to be pieced together, but actually I think I've got away with it, so it's 3 different strips. No one will ever know, will they? So I'm really pleased I did the cushions, and that meant I could go on and make the top that I really wanted to make. Now, this was inspired by the recent Think Pink subscription box. That's from Beyond the Pink Door, and I used to get that, but then I found I was getting a lot of fabric that I wasn't sort of sewing up. But this time round, or last time round, they had this vintage washed white cotton. There was some other colours as well, but I really liked the look of it, and the way people were describing it was very different. It was much better quality than sort of a normal cotton, almost like a linen. So I had in mind this Ethel top by Style Arc. So on Beyond the Pink Door, they had some remnants left at a reduced price. So I thought that, still saw that as a sign to buy some. So I did. So made this up. Now, I've made a few Style Arc patterns in the past, and I know I have to size down, but I wasn't sure because this was a woven. So I ended up making a 6, but the measurements would have put me in an 8. So I did size down 1, and I think it works. So you know how sewing is a roller coaster sometimes. They say life is a roller coaster, or sewing is a roller coaster. I've done this before. I want to show you my graph of my satisfaction as I was sewing this top. As you can see, this is where we start. This is where we do the different features, like adding something, altering something, and the end. So I start all happy. We always start happy and positive. Then I started cutting out, not so great. Then I decided to do some embroidery, and I'll show you that in a minute. Up again. Did the next bit, dreadful, had to alter it, back up again, alter, back up again. And that's how it went on. But as you can see, at the end, I'm really happy with it. So let's talk about what I did have to do to this pattern. As you can see, it is a very basic top, but it does take much longer than you think, because you've obviously got the angles. So the front and back is in 3 pieces. You've got the angles to sew on. I chose to top stitch. What I did actually is I didn't use white for top stitching. I thought it would get lost too much. So I used a really light blue. You cannot tell at all whether I used a blue, but you can see the stitching. Then I thought it looked really, really plain, and I haven't used my embroidery machine for a long time. So I thought I'd have a look on the Artspira app, which is the app that's linked to the Burda embroidery machines, and see if they had any designs. They had the most perfect design for me. Absolutely loved it so much. I need to use it. And what you tend to do, and I think the best thing to do with embroidery machine, is always do it on a bit of the fabric first to see what it looks like. So this was the original. I love this so much. You know me and daisies. But what I did was, obviously I sewed it, and I put it on the patch, and then I put it on the front. I did love it, but I slept on it, and then I thought in the morning it could be too restrictive, being the colour, being the blue, and it's absolutely beautiful on white, but it could be too restrictive. And what I wanted was a plain white top that would go with everything. So made a decision to stay away from that, and instead I thought I'd add something which actually you can't see very well until you actually get up close, but it was the design, and I just did it in a white. So the fabric has got a design on, but it doesn't stand out and it doesn't restrict me. So went ahead and did that. When I put the top on, I realised I should have done, because I'm quite narrow from here to here, a lot of my patterns I always pinch in a little bit here on the pattern piece and then cut it. I hadn't done that on this. I looked at the measurements. It didn't look too big on a lot of people, but it was. Also, this came up so high, and I will put a photo in, not a very flattering photo. It came up so high, it was choking me. So that all had to come down. So that had to come down. That means the facings all had to be changed and brought in. And then when the facings for the front and the side and the shoulders here are huge. I'm talking big facings. So you would have had a line of sewing much lower than this, which then would have gone over the embroidery. So I had to reduce all the facings by about almost an inch. And as you can see, you can still see it. And the sides as well, because then it looked more balanced. So as you can see, I was doing something, having to change it, changing it. What did I do for the neck? I didn't explain that, did I? So I've cut it all out, so I couldn't pinch it. So I raised this up a bit. So I didn't sew the 2 shoulder seams together. I raised it up by 1 centimetre. So I just brought up that front a little bit more. Didn't affect anything else. The bottom has a deep hem band, but I think I got away with it. Also, it was very boxy on me, and it is designed to be boxy, but I just brought it in by 1 inch on either side, which then meant the hemband facing had to be altered. Normally I don't go on to you about all the changes I've made, but I felt I ought to this time. What I'm left with is a really nice, clean looking, airy top, and that's what I wanted. But I will say the fabric has been washed once. I'm on a quick wash. I think it needs a few more washes to soften it up, because it is quite stiff at the moment. I think I need to go back and see what other people said about it, but yeah, it's a bit stiff. So for this type of top, it needs to be a bit floppier, but I'm sure with a few washes it'll get softer. So there we go. I have to say, Style Arc gets a lot of bad press about their instructions, but the instructions were absolutely brilliant for this. Even when I got, and I did follow them, because if I'm talking about a pattern, I want to make sure I follow it. So obviously they're quite condensed, very little pictures, but the only time I got, what do they mean? I then noticed, sorry about that, then noticed that they actually had closer diagrams there. So that's the only bit, is just how they want you to do the facing on these sleeves. So yeah, I'd say 9 out of 10 Style Arc, because I thought this was really good. But as a lot of Style Arc patterns, it is slightly oversized. One thing I didn't say is because I only had a certain amount of fabric, I had to shorten by an inch. I'm short anyway, so that would have worked. I'm 5'2", so each piece had to be shortened by an inch. And I'll just show you what I did. Extremely technical, but I literally just folded up ½ an inch on each pattern piece. That's all I did, and it worked out fine, and I could fit it on the fabric. So thank you very much, Style Arc. Something else I finished sewing this week and I'm so excited about, but I won't spoil the surprise, is my fabric wheel. 4th results, I think. It was that slippy fabric. The wheel landed on hubby's choice and he had 3 to choose from, so he chose the slippiest, nastiest fabric. But I'm so happy with the results. So there you go, husband, I made it. No, honestly, I'm really pleased. I can't wait to show you that video next week. That, of course, is the #Fabric Wheel of Fate. Do check out all the other channels that are doing this. I love filming for #Fabric Wheel of Fate because I never know what I'm going to sew, and I love watching it. So if you put that into the search bar, you'll come up with some other channels that have been doing it, and a lot of new channels. So give them some love and support. What am I going to be sewing next week? I just want to put a short film in for you. So what I really need to be looking at in the next couple of months, say, is reducing my fat quarter selection. So I used to have just one of these tubs. It's quite a small little tub, actually, if you can see. Got my hand, so it's quite a small tub. That's all my plains, my patterns, more patterns, and a bit of Disney or children's, and manly stuff. Yeah, 4 tubs, not big tubs, obviously, but that needs to be reduced because I honestly can't squeeze any more in. And if I'm going to be really honest and show you something, over here in this cupboard here is a huge tub of all my scraps. That needs to be addressed. It cannot be like that for much longer. So fat quarter projects are going to be on the cards for me, I think. I really do need to sew up my fat quarters, don't I? So I love doing fat quarter projects anyway, and I'm kind of getting to the end of my summer sewing now, what I need. So I do have 2 fat quarter books for ideas. I also have a fat quarter project book that I binder that I always keep with all the kind of fat quarter projects I've got. So no excuse there. And of course that gives me license to watch some of my favourite YouTube videos, which, you know, the ones where they say, I made this and I sold loads, and it's just some like a 8-minute or 5-minute clip, and it's just watching the person sew these things. I love those videos. So it gives me license to watch some of those and get some ideas. So that's what I might be doing going forward. I'd like to make some more t-shirts for my grandsons. So that I really want to do because I want to use some children's jersey up before they get big teenagers. The other thing I've got to do is my daughter gave me this. It's a dress, a jersey dress, beautifully presented. Don't know where she got it from, probably Amazon. And she wants me to put 3 embroideries on it. I've done this before for her, Disney embroideries. She wants me to put 3 Daisy Ducks. So I've chosen the designs, but if you have an embroidery machine, you know you've got to put it on something that's ready-made. That makes it trickier, and the chances of 3 designs going perfectly it's risky, let's put it that way. I do have a video on how I embroider on jersey, so I'll put that link down below in case you're interested, but I kind of putting that off just like I put off the cushions. 2 other things I want to have a go at next week. One is another bucket hat, and I know I made a bucket hat recently, actually matched this, but it was in a denim, and I'm fine when I'm walking, because I bought it for some of my walks. It's quite hot, and the brim is slightly too big when you want to sort of talk to someone that's next to you. It's fine for sunbathing, but if you're walking and talking, it's very often too low. So I need to do that. I'm going to try and find some linen scraps and do it out of a more breathable fabric. The other thing is a bit of feedback on this bag that I made. Now, I loved this bag I made for my trip to California. Wore it all the time, but I'm going to be honest, I put the buckle, A, I didn't make the strap long enough to wear it around my body, and B, if I show you, look where the buckle sat. Yeah, it's right on my shoulder. So I need to take the strap off, which you kind of can do, and then move it all around. It ended up, a lot of the time I had to wear it over the other shoulder, and then it's kind of awkward because I'm right-handed. Lesson learnt on that, make sure the buckle goes on the other side. So I'm going to have to sort that out and also make it longer. So we've done the sewing, and let's do a life update now. I had a weekend away last weekend and the holiday home. That was lovely. Weather wasn't special, but it was kind of a break from the heat that we've had. So it meant we could do some walking. So I did 2 walks that way, Saturday and Sunday. I've also done 2 walks this week, sort of a 3 mile and then a 6 mile on Wednesday. It's been brilliant. I love walking. I love being outside. So 4 walks in a week is brilliant for me. So we did that. This weekend is a busy weekend. The town is having its carnival, and then they've got like a beer tent and things like that. And my daughter is singing in the band. My husband's in a band, a local band, and she'll be singing more or less from sort of lunchtime till the evening in the band. My husband can't do the gig because he's going off to see a car show with my son and son-in-law. So he's been replaced, he is a drummer, and he's been replaced by a drum machine. So he's not very happy about missing it, but these 2 things hit at the same time. What does that mean I'm going to be doing? Looking after the grandsons, and it's going to be so hot on Saturday, so I've got a feeling I'm going to have to get a paddling pool out for them in the garden to keep them amused, and then obviously we'll go and see Mummy sing and during the afternoon. The other thing I've got coming up is on Monday I've got my orchestra concert. Now, I've talked about it before, but I have lots of hobbies. Sewing is my top one, music is kind of my second one. I've always love music and been quite musical. I play the oboe in a local orchestra. I'm not very good, and we've got our concert on Monday. Normally I'm panicking about what to wear, but we only have to wear something floral this time, so I've got lots of floral things I can wear. It's the theme. I never talk about what music we play, but the theme for this concert actually is kind of war tunes, because obviously we celebrated the wrong word, but we highlighted this year sort of some war timelines, and also our concert is on Bastille Day for France, a big celebration in France, so we're doing things like the French national anthem and things like that. It's going to be different. A lot of the old war tunes like We'll Meet Again, lots of old songs, so yeah, it's very different music this term round. I have to say it's not been my favourite, and there are a couple of pieces that weeks in I still can't get to grip with. Even if I practice, I will never be able to get some beats of this music. So I'm just going to bluff my way through it, which I can do. So yeah, busy few days, busy week. Obviously some sewing jobs to do. I tried some crochet last week when we were away at the weekend. I've got tendonitis, my crochet injury, tendonitis on the thumb. It made it worse. So obviously I still can't do any crochet for the time being. but I'm keeping myself busy, as you can see. So that is it from me until you see me next Monday, probably, on #Fabric Wheel of Fate with the results. If you're not subscribed, now would be a good time, because honestly, I think you'll like what I made. I think you'll be impressed. I certainly love it. So that will be next week. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your company and your time, because I know it's lovely out there. What we should be doing is going out and enjoying the weather, especially if you're in the UK and not watching YouTube. But I do appreciate it if you have. Have a super time, have a super weekend, everybody. Lots of sewing, I hope, and I will see you soon. Goodbye for now.